She was 7 years old when her father died. She wore a black veil to the funeral. The world watched her cry. 16 years later, that same little girl walked up to a microphone, looked straight into the camera, and told the entire world that the biggest movie ever made about her dad was built on lies. Not small lies, not Hollywood took some creative freedom lies. She used 2 words: full-blown lies. And what she said next, about a secret $20 million payment, about scenes that were quietly deleted, about her own family's estate spending money she says nobody can explain, lit a fire that is still burning across every Michael Jackson fan page on the internet right now. This is the story the Michael Jackson estate really did not want you to hear. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why Paris Jackson may have just started the biggest war in her family since her father passed away. Let's back up, because to understand how big this moment is, you have to understand who Paris Jackson actually is inside her own family. She's not just Michael's daughter, she is the only one of his 3 kids who ever really wanted to speak in public. Prince keeps quiet, Biggie almost never talks. But Paris sings, Paris acts, Paris writes on social media, and Paris tells the truth even when the truth makes her family look bad. She has been doing this since she was a teenager. So when the biopic Michael was announced, directed by Antoine Fuqua, and starring her own cousin Jafar Jackson as her father, the whole world assumed Paris was on board. Her cousin is playing her dad. It's a family movie in every sense of the word. Right? Wrong. In September of 2025, Paris sat down for an interview and dropped the first bomb. She said she had, and I quote, 0% involvement in the movie. 0. Not a phone call, not a script note, not a courtesy heads up, nothing. Then she went further. She said the movie was sugar-coated. She said it had a lot of inaccuracy. And then came the phrase that broke the internet: full-blown lies. Now here's where it gets crazy. Because at first people thought Paris was just being emotional, a daughter protecting her dad's image. That's what the estate wanted you to think. But then a second story broke, and this one had numbers attached to it. The Michael movie originally had an ending, a real ending, an ending that showed the child abuse allegations against Michael Jackson from 1993, the Jordan Chandler case. The scene was shot, the scene was in the script, the scene was going to be in the movie. Then somebody made a phone call because the Jackson estate's lawyers realized something. Buried inside the original settlement paperwork from 1994, the paperwork where Michael's team paid the Chandler family more than $20 million to make the case go away, there was a clause, a legal handcuff, a promise. The estate had agreed in writing that they would never ever depict those allegations in any movie, show, or book they controlled. Nobody in the public knew this clause existed. Nobody. For over 30 years, it was a secret hidden inside a secret. And now, because Antoine Fuqua's crew had filmed those exact scenes, the estate had a problem, a $10 million problem, because the fix wasn't a quick edit. The fix was reshoots, entire endings, whole sequences with Jafar Jackson, whole musical numbers. All of it had to be scrapped and shot again just to erase the allegations from the film. Some estimates put the reshoot cost as high as $15 million. Now stop for a second and think about what this actually means. The Michael Jackson estate, the same estate that says they are running out of money to file tax paperwork, spent tens of millions of dollars just to make sure a movie theater full of people would never see one specific scene about their dad. And that is exactly what made Paris Jackson snap. In March of 2026, Paris filed a public objection through her attorneys. Not gossip, not a tweet, a real filed on-the-record legal question. And what she wanted to know was very simple. Where is the money? She asked the court to force the estate to open its books. She wanted to see the receipts on the biopic. She wanted every dollar spent on Antoine Fuqua's project, every reshoot invoice, every settlement payout, every side deal laid out in black and white. The estate's answer? They asked the judge for permission to delay handing over the financial records until at least April of 2027, over a year of delay. On paperwork, they were legally required to file already. Paris was not having it. She went online, she posted, she talked, she let the fans do the math, and the fans did the math loud. Within days, hashtags demanding transparency were trending. Fan pages that had loyally defended the estate for years turned on it overnight. Even people who don't like Paris, even people who don't watch her show started listening. Because the question she was asking was one everybody understood. If the movie's a hit, where's the money going? Because remember, and this is the part that makes your head spin, the Jackson estate just sold Michael's music catalog to Sony for $600 million in cash. That's on top of billions in touring revenue, Cirque du Soleil deals, merchandise, streaming royalties, everything. everything. This estate isn't broke. This estate is one of the richest entertainment machines on the planet. So Paris looked at all of that, and she looked at her grandmother, Catherine, who is over 95 years old, still fighting in court just to get her own legal bills covered. And she looked at her little brother, Biggie, who just filed papers of his own against the executors. And Paris said out loud what nobody in the family had said in public: "We deserve answers." Now here's the twist that most channels are not telling you. Coleman Domingo, the actor who plays Michael's dad, Joe Jackson, in the biopic, went on a podcast and basically said Paris was being ungrateful. He said she should trust the filmmakers. He used the word guidance, like she was a child who needed to be corrected. Paris's response was 6 seconds long, and it was ice cold. She looked at the camera and said she does not need guidance from a man who never met her father, and then she went back to work. Now think about the position she is in. Her cousin is the star. Her uncles are producers. Her family gets money every time the movie sells a ticket. She could have stayed quiet. She could have taken the check. Nobody would have blamed her. That is what most kids of famous people do. But Paris is not most kids. And here is why I think she really did this. Watch the movie. Actually go look at what got approved by the estate. Antoine Fuqua's Michael ends before 1993. It ends before the allegations. It ends with Michael as a triumphant, spinning, moonwalking, untouchable hero. It skips the hard part. It skips the messy part. It skips the human part. And Paris, whether you agree with her about her dad or not, has always said the same thing about him. She has said she wants the world to see him as a person, not a myth, not a cartoon, a dad, a flawed, complicated, exhausted, loving dad. The estate is not selling a person. The estate is selling a product, and the product ends in 1992. Now, here is what happens next. And you need to hear this because most videos will not follow it that far. The court has a decision to make. Either the estate opens its books to Paris and the other beneficiaries, which means every dollar spent to bury those allegations, every payout, every reshoot cost becomes public, or the court sides with the executors and Paris walks away with nothing but a warning. The filing deadline the estate is now fighting for is April 2027, so this fight is not ending soon. This fight is going to run right through the entire theatrical release, the streaming release, the awards run, and all the way into next spring, which means every red carpet, every press junket, every award show speech Jafar Jackson gives about honoring his uncle, there is going to be a shadow standing behind him, and her name is Paris. Some fans are calling her the whistleblower of the Jackson family. Some are calling her a traitor, but the numbers do not lie. The estate paid over $20 million to hide something. Then they spent $10 million more to make sure a movie never showed it, and then they told the daughter of the man they are supposedly protecting to be quiet. Paris Jackson is not being quiet. And here is the last thing I want to leave you with, because this is the part that keeps me up at night when I think about this story. Michael Jackson wrote a song in 1995 called Childhood. In it, he sang a line that goes, "Before you judge me, try hard to love me." His daughter, the little girl in the black veil, is now a grown woman fighting a billion-dollar company just to make sure the world remembers he had one. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about who Paris Jackson really is, I don't know what will. Hit like if you're on Paris's side, comment "Open the books" if you want to see the estate's receipts, and subscribe because the next filing drops soon, and when it does, we are going to be the first channel to break it down for you line by line. Because in this family, the loudest voice is not the one with the biggest lawyers. It's the one with nothing left to lose.